What is up, humans and mutants alike? My name is Kyle. We are going back through our old catalog and re-uploading them onto YouTube in what we are calling Podcast of X Classics. So enjoy. What is up, mutants and humans alike? My name's Kyle. I'm with Danny. We're here once again going through Dawn of X. Today we are doing New Mutants once again because we failed the first time and this is the second time, and we're going to try again and hopefully remember to download it back and not forget to save the files properly. But hey, things happen in life. You know, the mutants didn't have a good, they weren't treated right. They had to go through adversity and whatnot. Sometimes we do too when it comes to audio production. Don't you agree, Danny?
Yes, the parallels between overcoming diversity and recording podcasts are seamless.
It's so similar. What are you talking about? I feel like it connects.
Well, I look at it like this: we're screwed because they say third time's the charm, and we're only on our second time. So this is just a trial run right here.
We shall see how this goes. But last week we talked about, what did we talk about before this? I already forgot because, as I said, we failed once, and we're re-recording this later down the line.
It was either Dawn of X or it was Excalibur or Marauders, even, I think. One of those.
Excalibur, I believe. But hey, we're going back. We're doing New Mutants, issue number 1. Are you ready for this, Danny? What do you know about? Yeah, let's do this. What do you know about New Mutants? Past New Mutants. This is New Mutants Volume 4, right? So, New Mutants Volume 1 through 3, or I should say Volume 1 is a Claremont baby, right?
Yeah, it's one of those really, really awesome Claremont things to come out of his whole run with the X-Men, spanning through like the 80s into the early 90s and that jazz. Like it was nice to see like kind of a more younger generation group of mutants put together. Like that's what he kind of reached for, was like going for what that original X-Men group kind of had, but in a newer generation. And I liked a lot of the New Mutants characters and what they went on to do and how he wrote them, and the weird, wacky stories with the really stylized artwork. Like New Mutants kind of stands out on its own and doesn't get like lost in the crowd for better reasons, as opposed to like Generation X, which stands out for more negative reasons. But yeah, I've got a lot of good nostalgia with New Mutants, reading them over the years, especially like about 10 years ago reading them. Like I liked when they were a lot older now and they're grown up, but they're still the New Mutants crew, which was kind of weird because they were still called New Mutants, but it's like, well, we have like 4 generations of New Mutants after you guys, but all right. It's like being the new kid in school, and it's like you've been there for like 12 years. But yeah, what
exactly?
What do you got to do? I enjoy it, and I like that they're bringing in like the classic New Mutants too. Like we're getting a few like different people, like Chambers in this chapter, and he's Gen X, and Mondo. That's he's also come from Gen X, but then they killed him and brought him back. So who knows?
Yep. We're getting Karma, we're getting Wolfsbane, we get a little bit of Douglas. Good old Douglas.
Cannonball even makes it's Sunspot, but Cannonball also shows up at some point, when they meet up with them.
And Magic and
Danny Moonstar.
Sure, Mirage. Absolutely. But we start off on Krakoa, and we're met with Wolfsbane herself, and she's kind of going through, like, it looks like she's just pondering or having a flashback moment, a nostalgic moment to her rebirth. As
coping with the reality, yeah.
Yes, coping with her current situation, kind of, in the moment. And we see her kind of hatching from gold balls, and
them golden balls.
being welcomed and being kind of embraced by Storm.
Covered in all that viscous fluid.
Yeah, and what does she say? She says like, "Let the past go and live," and she's just kind of, she's being very whimsical, very nostalgic, very pondiferous. Is that a word? Pondiferous?
I believe I've heard that before, but I'm not sure if it
I
was a
don't think
bullshit
that's a
word then
word.
and it is
I
now.
don't think it's a word. I'm
There's
gonna say,
pontificating.
yeah, let's go with that.
She
Pontificating. She's pontificating
she's
right now.
pondering, that's for sure. It's this is nice because this is kind of a way for them to showcase the regenerative process and kind of how and kind of normalize it in the comics. And
Mhm.
we get it here with a very iconic character, so it's kind of nice to bring her back because she was always kind of like she was like the Bobby of the New Mutants, like the young child, like the idealistic youth, the
Mhm.
who's but yeah, she's here like kind of breaking in like her new life, kind of taking in the beauty of Krakoa and like being like profoundly taken aback by the reality of being alive again. And she seems pretty happy about it. She doesn't seem kind of like torn or kind of suspect. She just seems kind of delighted, especially like that first shot where like the golden rays of the sun are like basking down on her as all nature's
Oh
around
yeah.
her. It's a very surreal and serendipitous scene, and it's kind of cool to know that she's back in the fray, and we're starting off with them going like, yeah, don't forget, like death is over, like this is the normalcy within the world of X-Men, is the
Mhm.
old characters are coming back, and here's some fan favorites right here.
Here's some fan favorites. And as she's pondering, we're met with Karma.
Yep.
And Karma just kind of walks up and is like, "Yo, what up? What are you up to? What are you doing?" And she mentions that she's just all like, "I'm. It's like I died and went to heaven." And she's just kind of enjoying the moment still. We get a little back and forth between the two. Um, but
You get
what are
Karma's
you?
cyborg leg too,
You
that
get
she
Karma's cyborg leg.
her leg that she lost during the Messiah complex trilogy, and
That's
Nimrod took it.
So how does that work if she's been okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, never mind. I thought she would be like reincarnated, but
No,
no,
yeah, yeah,
she
Karma
hasn't died
hasn't
yet.
died,
She hasn't died, so yeah.
but when she
Uh
does,
when she does, she'll get that leg back. I wonder if she thinks about it. It's just like, maybe if
it'll
I
be fucked
die.
up if they bring her back with the robot leg.
It's just so like, what? Why? This is so rude.
She tries to risk her life all the time just so she could die and get her leg back, and then it doesn't work. And she's like, I wouldn't have fucking saved that kid. If I'd have known, I would have been shafted with the shitty robot leg still. This shit
Right.
chafes.
And we cut to Mondo after that. Mondo's just hanging out and he's kind of connecting. And it's cool. I like it. I dig the art. I dig the colors of the greens and the browns as he's kind of rooting into the earth. And Douglas is just kind of like, yo, what's up? Anything happening? Anything? You hear anything? Bueller? Bueller?
You get feel. Mondo's a weird character because I think he's like a Scott Liddell creation, and like they killed him off for a long time. Well, first he was a clone, then they killed his clone, and then they brought him back like around like the X-Men Gold arc, the Gold and Blue arcs where they broke up the different comics not that long ago, a few years back. But
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to any of that.
Yeah, that's no. I
He's
didn't.
like Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man.
Yeah,
Like he reminds me of the mutant version of that. That's what he kind
sure.
of really functions as, because it's inorganic and organic material, which I didn't realize. I thought he could just absorb like plants and dirt and like rocks and stuff. But yeah,
Inorganic, so we could do like technology as well, or like
well, like
more like
metals and stuff.
metals.
Yeah,
Metals,
metals and
gotcha.
stuff
Okay.
like that. But yeah,
Oh,
nothing fancy. So he's
and
actually like a weaker version of Crusher Creel because he could absorb like energy and stuff and like become like
right.
an energized version of himself. But yeah. So, but yeah, Mondo, they're really reaching through their bag of tricks to bring him into this one.
Yeah, and he's just like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what I should be looking for in this situation. And Douglas is just like, you should just connect, sense, feel it. I don't know, like
Tap into Krakoa, dummy.
he's pretty much like try harder.
Yeah, he's like, try harder. And he's like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm
What
doing.
am I doing?
And then he
Right?
pulls forth this really weird like moment where like the
Yeah.
Krakoan like face that's on the tree behind him like peers on his chest. And it's like even
Yeah.
Krakoa's like, oh, hello, Doug. I'm
Right?
on Hondo's chest.
Yo, what up? This is my. It's like I said. Like he could just. I wonder if you could do that for any in like tree matter on Krakoa. Anything that connects to it.
You could fuse with it perhaps. But
Yeah.
while Krakoa is essentially possessing him, he like leans in and starts talking to Douglas from his stomach, and it's funny because like he doesn't lean in like you would with your head. He like
Yeah.
leans in with his chest and like picks
There's
up
like
the rest of him.
a slight pelvic thrust almost to
Yeah.
extend his belly.
Yeah, but he's like Krakoa is like wielding him, so it's
Yeah.
like they're lifting him up with all those branches and like vines underneath, and like shoving his face into like Doug's and talking to him. And he's like, "Hey, man, like, why am I here? Like in this dude's body? This is creepy."
Right. And we see like what's where kind of Mondo is, and he's like trapped in this void. It looks like while Krakoa has him almost. Is that what
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is?
When he's piloting, essentially, Mondo gives up his consciousness to Krakoa, maybe forcefully or passively. But like while they're talking, Doug hints at like, "Was Mondo in there with you?" And like Krakoa's like, "Yeah, like sorta." And it cuts to this dark void, and Mondo's like, "Krakoa, anyone? Little
Someone?
help?
Yeah.
Anybody there?" He's just like, I'm alone. Doug's like, oh, all right. Well, that's interesting. So what's up, Krakoa? And Krakoa's like, dude, I don't dig this at all. Like, I don't want to be in this dude's body. I'm an island,
Yeah.
and you got me inside a fat dude. Like, I'd rather just be on this landmass.
Right. And then we just kind of see like Mondo kind of like snap out of it,
His
and
pupils come back.
his pupils come back. By the way, the Hearn uh, caption that I've been seeing lately a lot in comics is one of my favorite captions of recent comic trends.
It's just hurt.
It's
It's just so funny.
ridiculous.
Oh, I like how before Krakoa left, he kind of quasi scolded Doug, where he's like, "Don't you do this to me again? I'll fucking deck you.
Right? Like, no,
You
that
put
was
me in a
not.
fat kid again. You'll never hear the end of it." And Mondo was like, "What was that? I feel wrong. I feel dirty. What just happened?"
And then we cut to the Academos habitat, the sextant, and we are met with who are we met with?
Danny Moonstar and Robert DaCosta. Yeah,
Yes,
Sunspot and Mirage.
Sunspot and Mirage, and they're walking, and as they're walking, they're passing. What is this creature that they're passing? This like bizarre jelly skeleton. Is that like the call?
Oh yeah, he's from like the that generation of mutants that had gosh, the big rock dude and the Dust, Dust the Arabic girl where she can like summon all the
Okay.
sand. He's from their
Yes.
crew. Like Surge is
Gotcha.
with her and all those other people. Mercury, that chick. Mercury was pretty cool. But yeah, he's from there. The whole timeline. Their class of mutants. I always forget his name, and he's always super weird. His eyeballs are just floating around
Right?
all the time.
Just floating on top
Uh,
of this like skeleton jelly body.
yeah.
But they're just kind of talking about like the population, the rise in the mutant population, and as they're walking, they're just kind of walking and talking about
I mean,
like
this scene serves as a process to normalize the whole concept of the mutant commune that they've created on this like utopian island.
yeah, it
Like this
seems like
is
they're coming to terms, I guess,
yeah.
with a lot of what's happening in this
Plus, it's like
situation.
it feels like they're giving nods to like the other versions of the New Mutants here in this, because a lot
You
of these
see, yeah,
characters served as like the modern day iterations of like what the New Mutants were, and that's what we kind of feel is like getting nodded to as they're like walking through and
right.
discussing how like crazy it is, and how like there could be problems that come with this, but for right now, it's pretty nice that we live here in like a paradise. And they cut to their weird like dome, their weird, what do you even call those, like eco domes or something?
Right?
Because
But
they're all
like,
entrenched with like trees and vines and branches.
it's interesting. This is the first time I think we've seen like habitats on Krakoa.
Yeah, normally the structures we get are more like gaudy, like buildings that are where the Quiet Council meets, and all this like other elaborate like obelisks and stuff. But we
Yeah.
never really see like a living like habitat and living quarters, and this is like the first like approach to it.
How much do you think the rent is?
Oh gosh, hopefully it's reasonable, because I mean you got to deal with all these rampant attacks by anti-mutant groups and all this stuff.
Uh, yeah.
You got to worry about getting shot in the face.
Oh
Foreshadowing.
man. Can we take a pause for a second? And I want to go back to Wolfsbane, and um, so she's supposed to be like the foster daughter of Moira, right? I wonder if they're still keeping that
Good
going,
point.
right?
Yeah. Well, see, Moira's super hands off right now, so I don't think that's gonna come up. I don't think any of the mutant population outside of the Quiet Council, even the Quiet Council, actually, I think only Charles and Magneto, unless I'm remembering this wrong, are the only ones that know Moira's a mutant.
Mhm.
And they only the ones that know about her in her pod right now. She's just chilling in her pod, waiting things out. So no, I don't think Wolfsbane is gonna get to interact with Moira at all.
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
wonder. That would be an interesting reunion, though. That would
Yeah, it
happen.
would be. Though
I
it
want to
seems
see
like
that.
the new Moira is kind of despondent and detached, and more about like using things for the greater good. Like it seemed like her attachment to her son now is kind of in a weird space, because they hinted about her having her kid is a sense in a sense was a way of her trying to manipulate the mutant genes and see what, like, kind of how Mr. Sinister like wants like Jean and Charles to fuck, or not Jean and Charles, Jean and Scott, because he's like their DNA will be great. They commented on how her and Charles have unique DNA, and if they were to reproduce, they could have some very powerful offspring. Not necessarily them reproducing, but just them in general. Like how he went on to have Legion, and she went on to have Proteus. That was like due to their, like, the way they hinted at it was due to their tampering. Like they knew that was going to happen. So it doesn't really seem like she's like the motherly type anymore, and more of like just like
Mhm.
someone trying to pull the strings from behind the shadows more, and like play more like Mr. Sinister was. Very close and very akin to that.
See, she's seen some shit, man.
Yeah,
She,
she's seen like what, 10 different lines.
yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely
But
seen some shit.
they walk in as they're walking in. They mention that they're like the sixth generation. What's a mutant sextant? Is that mentioned?
No, I'm
What are
not
they
familiar.
referring to? Are they just referring to that generation as a mutant sextant, like the sixth generation of Homo superior?
I guess. I mean, I can't imagine that there's like a significance that we missed upon that. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they're just going off of uh what's, I don't know. That's that. Yeah, I'm not familiar with what they mean in that kind of like biological sense. From what I know, is like a sextant is that weird thing that is used in cryptography and geography, where it's like
Mhm.
you're using it to navigate and figure out plot your course. So is she saying that they're like a new course in like mutant biology? I'm not familiar with that vocabulary word in a different meaning, so it
Right?
eludes me in this one. But we
Yeah.
get but we get chamber magic.
We get chamber and we get a little bit of magic. And we get to see inside one of these domes, which is it looks nice. It looks roomy,
Yeah,
you
very.
know.
Looks like the inside looks like it's right out of a Tolkien novel.
Right? It does with the big wide circular doors and the wooden table.
staircase and all that stuff. And then their super elaborate biological hydroponic coffee system.
Oh yeah. I mean, Chamber looks like he would have that.
He's
'Cause-
like, he he would need something elaborate to drink coffee without a functioning jaw, right?
right.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't. He looks like he has his jaw. Like it's in his face is covering it, but it's in the shape of his jaw. So I don't know. Uh,
But they're all like, "Yeah, coffee, cool. Pour me a cup." And Ileana's just like, "Nah, it's mine. It's
the whole
empty."
picture is mine.
Yeah, and she's like, "Just come on, let me get some." And she's all like, "Don't make me cut you." And I thought that was
She's
great.
fucking holding it like a
Yeah,
baby. She's like, it's mine.
yeah, it's mine. Get away.
She's glaring at him.
But it's okay because Chamber made a second pot, and that I'll share with everyone.
She's like, I planned for this.
This is not the first time this has happened. I know what's up. Um, so everyone's enjoying some coffee.
I like the artwork and how they drew Magic, like when she was like to like accent her anger when she was staring at him, saying like, "Don't make me cut you." Like I like that because it kind of plays off of like the old like the Bob McLeod, like when he was working with like Chris Claremont and they first made
Okay, yeah,
like the New Mutants. Like that shit was super stylized and was almost kind of rough. Like
yeah,
remember how I told you about how like he came back not that long ago? Like Chris Claremont came back and redid like New Mutants and like the artwork was just so rough again. And
really.
it's just yeah. Like he came back and did a New Mutants issue called before all this stuff
You did
started. It
mention
was
this, yes.
yeah, it was like the War of Children or something like that. It was like a 6 issue arc or something, or like a mini series. Or I think it might have been a one shot. It might even have been a one shot, but the artwork was just like really, really rough, and I didn't like enjoy it. It's too busy and it's hard to follow. It's like here, it's stylized just enough where it's not messy, it's not loud, it's not distracting, and like they use little like tricks when they're trying to accent like emotion, like right there what they're doing with Magic is like they're really highlighting her anger and like her frustration just by using just colors and just swashes of designs. And I like that. That's nice because it's not abrasive. Because then
New
it
Mut-
immediately flows right into it.
yeah, New Mutants War Children.
Yeah, yeah. Which was
Yeah.
not that great. It was not that great. I went through that. You guys can pass on
Yeah,
it.
I dig these like very expressionistic like backgrounds because you're not getting like full backgrounds in some cases. Like you got like the
Yeah.
coffee and the table, but sometimes it's just like a palette, like just a color background with some paint. In the case of that magic panel, you see like some
Yeah, it's
ink
like a
splattered behind her,
yeah, it's like a
and it's
gradient of pinks.
yeah, and then it's like it starts off red, but then it like goes to like some oranges, and then like the bottom panel is completely white, and it's just no background at all. So it's interesting, and it's just like very out there, and it's definitely super stylized.
Yeah. You know what I didn't notice before though? The hearts above her head in the next panel. I just now noticed that. Where she's like loving on her pot of coffee and then has like the little hearts above her head.
Yes, those are great.
I
That's
totally missed that. That's kind of
very
fun.
very anime.
Yeah, that is I but we've noticed that in a few issues where they've started
Lately,
to kind
yeah,
of take on like a lot of anime tropes.
a lot of influence lately.
Yeah. Yep.
That is interesting. So they're enjoying some coffee, and what are they talking about? They're kind of bantering.
Yeah, they tried to offer some coffee to Mondo. He's not having it.
He's not having it.
He's like part tree right now, and he's like, it'll just melt through my body. Ileana's chugging her pot of coffee. It's like rolling down her face, and I'm like thinking, like, dude, that shit's gotta be hot. But
Right?
so was
Yeah,
living in limbo probably for
sure.
most of her life. So she's got probably a tolerance to heat. The brimstone of limbo probably pales into this hot coffee.
And they're talking about Sam, right? And they wish that he was like here, but he's like in share space at the moment.
Yeah, they're talking about how a lot of people are back now, and like they want to kind of get the old crew back together, but they're like, we're missing someone, and it's like, who? And it's like, well, Sam, like, what are we gonna do about that? And it's like, Bobby's like, you want to go for a
Want
ride?
to go
And
for a ride?
yeah, and we cut to the fucking Starjammers.
The Starjammers. Yeah. So, what can you say about the Starjammer
uh
and the crew?
well, the Starjammers are like a weird product of like Chris Claremont really wanting to have like a space pirate crew and trying to make it fit into the Marvel universe. And they have the strangest ties to the X-Men only because the father of Scott Summers is Corsair, and he's the pilot of the Starjammers, and it's weird how that always kind of ties together because the
Yes.
Starjammers deal with the greater Marvel mythos of the galactic end of like the space
Yes.
related stuff, but they always seem to be grounded in Earth because it always ties back to Scott, usually through the Phoenix. It's usually like something's going on in
Exactly.
space,
Yeah.
the Shi'ar are pissed off, the Phoenix is involved, and like Corsair's showing up, and he's like, "Scott, what are you doing?" But I mean, aside from that, like the characters are usually pretty pretty straightforward. They have their interesting quirks. Like Hesbath is usually like a badass. She's usually like down to throw down. She reminds me a lot of Wolfsbane. She's like a space albino version of Wolfsbane.
Sure.
She'd be like right at home in like a Star Trek series because it's instead of a green woman, she's just a albino wolf woman. And then Reza is Reza. He's a member of the Wotang clan, if I'm correct. he's the he's like the master of arms. Like he's like their cable, which they
Sure.
actually nod on in one of the issues coming up, where it's like they're all into guns and shit like that. And then Chode, which is very much a like kind
True.
of version of it with the weirdest name ever, but he's kind of like a beast, like he's very big but well spoken, and has like got like a green thumb, like a biological back end, a
Yeah.
botanist, if you will. But yeah, like they're an interesting ragtag group, and they've changed over the years. Like they've added a few people and changed out a few people, but this is like the core group is usually like Corsair, Hesbeth, Reza, and Chode. Oh, Chode, what a name.
Yeah, what a name, right? Something it sounds like, well, it sounds like my dick.
Yeah.
Straight up. My dick. Not
Wait,
my dick. My
Wait,
dick.
this actually, now that I think about it, this was when Dave Cockrum was switching over through Claremont. It wasn't Claremont that created this. Cockrum did this. So he's their Dave Cockrum inventions.
Okay. There you
Yeah.
go. Blame that
Yeah.
guy.
Way to go, Dave Cockrum. You couldn't just let Scott not have a father. No.
Nah, had to have him be a space pirate.
It's super like 70s design Space Pirate too, because they were
Right? The
creating
hair
inventions
and the
every 7s, and it's
headbands.
just like you could tell with the earrings. Look at the earrings on fucking. He looks like he's right out of like a 70s pirate like
Yeah.
novel,
A
but they just like
mustache.
thrusted it into space. Yeah, it's got porno mustache. Jesus.
But we cut to Mondo, Douglas. They're walking with a crackle and flour, and they open a door, and
They've
and
infiltrated the. Apparently, they're already on like the Starjammer, and they've
yeah,
infiltrated it. Like they literally cut from them like talking with Bobby, and like he was there, like Robert DaCosta was there talking with the Corsair, and was like talking about like, we will give you a lift, but you got to follow our rules and like don't fuck around. You guys are just kids. And Bobby's like, we'll be fine. It's okay. And then cut to Douglas and Mondo. They're getting into trouble already, just like wandering around
yeah,
parts of the ship they're not supposed to be in. And they enter into this nice little nature habitat that belongs to Chode, his little like nature sanctuary. And they're like, let's go play in the dirt.
yep,
And or not Chode, Mondo starts playing in the dirt, starts fucking with Chode's little nature sanctuary.
yeah. And he's even like, he's telling him he's super pissed. He's all like, "Look, do you see these dead whatever poems? Poems, they're delicacy." And their delicacy, they only ripen once a decade. It took me years to get this environment just right, so that you that they would grow, and they're fucked. You fucked me.
Yeah, because he just comes out of the bushes, like literally walks out of the shadows, and he's like talking about them, and he's like, "I have intruders in my biodome. Oh, there they are. They're talking to each other. It's the New Mutants. Oh man, you guys don't have any idea how hard this shit was to grow. Like they're dying right now. You're fucking it up. This biometrical synthesis in this dome was set to a way that any bit of oxygen or air or any bio life form besides myself will impact it greatly. And you're literally killing this shit that is my life's work." And they're just like, "Oh, um,
We'll
well,
be
we
going
should be off
soon.
your ship soon, right? Like, we're not gonna be here long. Sorry, man. Yeah, man. That's like Wando's like, yeah, that sucks, man.
It sucks.
Just don't even give a shit.
Nah, don't even give a shit. And we're gonna see this trend throughout the whole issue of like them pissing off the
The StarJammers, yeah,
StarJammers. Yeah.
and then like literally the most like heavy-handed or like light-handed apologies ever. Like, oh man, my bad. It's just like you doomed my life's work. Oh, sorry, bro.
Sorry, man. Sorry about
but
that.
But apparently, the genetic makeup of the Krakoan flower that they brought with them is also impacting the room really bad. And Chode says like either you go or the flower goes, or either both of you go with the flower or the flower goes. And
Yeah.
Douglas is like, I got an idea. I'll shove it inside Mondo. Mondo, open up your chest. I put Krakoa in you before. I could put this flower. So Mondo turns into a little storage locker and pops open his stomach.
Yeah. And it works. And he's just like, yeah, I'm not picking it up anymore, but I'm still not happy. And he seems pretty
I
dead.
hate you guys.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you guys. And then we cut to several days later, and we got Mondo. Not Mondo, we got Magic.
I think my feelings about Mondo are the same as Chode. Like that face he's making towards him, I'm just like, fuck you, Mondo. I have that same face every time I see it. I'm like, fuck you, Mondo. But now we
and
get Magic and RZA.
and RZA, yeah, and they're fighting. They're having a little like practice battle, right?
Yeah, they've been fighting. I'm gonna assume for several days later. They've been fighting
Yeah,
for several days.
several
But
days.
yeah, Reza and like fucking her having a old fashioned dueling match, I guess you would say a gentleman's duel. No, I guess they're just sparring. And he's using like a rapier, and she's using like she summoned her sword, but it almost looks like a claymore. Like her sword is huge.
Yeah. And it looks like someone's placing a bet on it. Someone's betting some Kentucky bourbon. And they're mentioning how it's hard to get in space. That's a rare thing. That's a big bet, pretty much is what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that much Kentucky bourbon floating around the Shiar space. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good fight though. They seem pretty evenly matched. Like I'm surprised because I never really expected Magic to be that skilled with sword combat, considering she just summons her sword and usually just like slashes through things with a big overhead swing. But
Hmm.
I mean, all the X-Men usually get combat training in a way that like allows them to be skilled in any form of combat, especially from like they get it from Wolverine like one-on-one every now and then. So I'm not surprised she's on par with him, who was like just like a weapons expert and a combat expert as well.
Yeah.
Whacked him right in the teeth.
Just whacked him. Yeah, whacked her. So yeah, she gets hit
Well,
right in the face.
he
Oh,
oh
you
no,
mean
it's
no,
yeah.
earlier you're talking about, yeah.
Oh yeah, she got yeah. I was talking about when she kicked him in the face with the thwack.
Kicked him in the face, yeah, the thwack after the clank. Yes. All right. And they're just kind of evenly matched at the moment and as everyone's taking bets. But then we see Raza just hit her right, crack her right in the nose. Right in the nose. And this pisses her off. She's mad. She gets super mad. She goes super aggro. She probably goes blind. She blinded with rage in this moment. And she just thrusts and goes right through his sword and right through his arm at the same time.
Yep.
Um, and he's just like, it's a great panel because he's just there's no background. It's just a white void, and it's just him and his arm looking down, and he's just like, you cut off my arm.
Cut off my arm.
He looks so
He's so
sad.
crestfallen. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's The New Mutants is doing a good job of like being deadpan on its delivery with all its comedy. I like how funny the New Mutants is, but not because it's like over like tongue in cheek or forceful about it. I
Right.
like it because it's subtle with those little panels. Like that's where the true comedy lies,
Yeah.
and just the deliveries. Like even next to that, look, it's just like look at Corsair. He's like Roberto, and then Bobby's just like bourbon. He's just like, give me my bourbon. I
Give
won.
me my bourbon.
I won this
And
bet.
so this is another moment where no one's liking the New Mutants at the moment. And then we cut later to the edge of Shi'ar space,
It's
and
a nice little satellite system, or a nice little. Was it like a colony? This looks like a satellite colony,
I guess like or station. It looks like a
like a space
station.
station. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a nice little shear.
Although
Oh
it's
no,
like
is that a
surrounded
planet?
by a planet.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, the station yeah surrounds a planet, which
That's
is kind of
interesting,
cool. That's a unique little take, but yeah.
right?
Or maybe it's a moon, and that's why it's like not it's not that big. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a weird perspective thing, but those spaceships don't look that tiny compared to the body of it. So I'm thinking it's like a moon
It could
that
be a
they
moon.
just colonized into a satellite station.
Yes. And then we're met with Corsair back on the bridge, and what's his face? Shoot,
Sunspot.
Sunspot. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Um, he's just like, yo, this is a nice place. I gotta tell you, this is a nice place. And
I got some rules to lay down for
yeah,
you
he's pretty much
guys.
like, yo, he's trying to, he's a habitual line stepper, and Corsair's like, no, 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 no.
Well, he hits him with the reality is like, you know what? We got a bit of a reputation. Like we've already like need to play things cautious and close to the chest. Like we're known as like, galactic criminals. We are wanted in multiple sectors throughout the universe, and you guys are trouble. So we don't want any heat and we don't want anything to get out of hand. So let's just take it easy from here and follow my lead. And then we cut to this weird transition where it's like wanted StarJammers, this massive wanted poster that looks
Yeah,
dope, but it kind of
it's
also
great.
has gosh, you know what it reminds me of in a weird way is like one of those old like Toshikin or like Gotcha Man style like poses where they're like
Yeah,
looking to the side and then one person's standing straight up. Like a lot of those cooler things that you wouldn't expect from like an X-Men comic. It's a very iconic look.
yeah, I dig it. But yeah, they're wanted for. All right, let's see. This is what they're wanted for. They're wanted for assault, fourth degree, assault second degree, theft minor, theft major, theft galactic, impersonating an imperial agent, impersonating an imperial envoy, illegal seizure, illegal boarding, trespassing, spitting. I want to know where that was.
Yeah.
Uh,
And who?
right? Violation of prohibition laws, lewd behavior, mayhem, murder second degree, murder first degree, scratching, of course, and assault. Pheromone.
Pheromonal assault. What
Yeah.
what
What happened?
what does that mean? And then the scratching too? Is it scratching like literally like you scratch someone, or was it inappropriate scratching at the wrong
Right.
time? This is a
Uh,
sacred temple. How dare you scratch yourself?
maybe someone farted on the planet, and then considered a pheromonal response on that planet.
You're assaulting my senses. This is assault on a pheromonal degree. It's too powerful.
It's too much. I can't handle it. I can't
Right.
do this. Uh and then we're met with some good old Hickmanisms. Benevolence. And it's
This is
talking
like
about this like
a prelude.
repository. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like Hickman's doing a quick tangent here to kind of
Yeah.
prelude stuff that's coming. This is
He's
like foreshadowing.
he's kind of letting you know about some stuff that's about
Yeah,
to happen,
because this whole panel is like out of the blue. You're just like, what?
right? You're just like, well, okay, so something's about to happen.
Yeah.
But essentially you learn about the benevolence. It was this repository of exotic material, too dangerous for inner system storage. I wonder what if this that space station is the benevolence, right?
Yes, yes, correct.
Yes. Okay. So that's cool. It's surrounding a planet. That's awesome. Um, what else? Currently manned only by a single light brigade, so lightly guarded. Multi-system troop assignments have been made in response to increased scroll activity in other sectors.
Ooh.
Um, Automated docking and refueling nodes are available for all vessels in proper Imperial identification codes. Fabricating Imperial identification codes is a crime punishable by compound fines and possible imprisonment. So something's going to happen. Clearly.
Yeah. I like the little aliens reference where they're talking about how like there's a hold off until the shift in brood spawning ground occurs because they're worried about benevolence to become highly populated and they don't want that to kind of become a problem.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of a nice little note too. Like all I picture is like Sigourney Weaver running around benevolence with like the Corsair like get to the ship. That would be interesting if this it hasn't yet, but if New Mutants turns into like kind of like a an aliens esque space like excursion, that would be kind of cool and gritty. Get chest bursting from Mondo. He's like, get back in there. Just shoves it back in his chest. I'll absorb you.
And then we learn about King Egg. Beware the king egg. Always handle with extreme caution. Under no circumstances should a king egg be removed from its containment field. Interstellar pheromone production can result in unexpected swarm activities. Never introduce a king egg into an alien biome. Such activity can trigger super guardian protocols. So something's gonna happen with the king egg.
Yeah,
Clearly.
if that's not foreshadowing, I don't
Yeah.
know what the fuck is. Like,
Right?
good God. Like, good God, because you're just like, wait, what do you? It's like, what a non sequitur, Hickman. Jesus Christ. We read about like what's like we're talking about like New Mutants and StarJammers and Mondo's up in this shit, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, by the way, this King Egg, which is cool because it's like flushing out the Brood mythos, which is another weird thing that is tied to the X-Men mythos. Is another galactic concept that's
Brood.
heavily embedded in the X-Men mythology. And it's like, whoa, the Brood are no jokes. So if they're dealing with this and this King Egg, I've never even heard of that. I thought the Brood had like a hive queen. Like I guess the King Egg is something that seems like is what's respawning like a whole new generation because they talk about a don't introduce it into like a biome, so an alien biome. And I mean, shit, look, that one habitat that they had on the ship could be considered an alien biome. Like he's got his own little biosphere. Like, what if it gets loose in there and it just starts reproducing on the ship and shit? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where they go with the king
We'll
egg.
see. We shall see. And then we cut to them in a meeting room, and they're just talking. Corsair's just like, guys, look, we have business. I need you to get your shit together while we're here. Please don't mess this up for me. Please don't. Please don't run this for me. I need this. I need this. It seems like he's like, come on, guys, you got to get it together. Do something. Help me out here. It's almost like he's meeting, trying to get a middle ground from these kids. It's just like, all right, guys, which is weird coming from a space pirate.
Yeah, I think it's because he's accepting that there's already been enough heat on them from what they're doing, and they don't want any variables to fuck up what they're gonna do. I mean, they're good space pirates; they're good at what they do. So as
Yes.
long as everything goes according to plan, then they'll be fine. But there's like what 7, 8 chances right here of different people interacting with their plan that they don't have protocols for that could fuck everything up. So he's just like telling them like you guys just need if we don't want to end up in prison and if we don't want to end up on the hot plate, you guys just need to chill here and just relax and like we'll be back We'll leave the TV on. You can have some fun.
Right? We have some popcorn.
Get
Go
some
go
popcorn. We left some money for
go.
pizza. Don't fuck
Yeah.
with anything. We'll be back in no time. And he's like, all right, I'm out of here. And instantly, like the New Mutants, well, first Bobby kind of
Oh,
like tries to
yeah.
play face, and he's like, you know what, man, I got the Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah,
He's
we
on
got
to
the
something.
bourbon.
Let's
We're
kick
gonna have
back
a
and
good time.
we'll wait for him. We'll not do anything wrong. Let's just hold out. And instantly, like the second he walks out of the room, the rest of the New Mutants are
Right?
like, yeah, let's go fuck up
All right.
Corsair's plan.
Let's do it. Yeah, they were ready.
5 minutes
Matt.
later, Bobby comes back in and is like, I got the oh,
Oh,
everyone left me.
oh, it's great. It's another moment with good comedy beat because there's not a second goes by. They didn't hesitate at all. They left instantly when he left the room. He was gone. We didn't need that 5 minutes later. They could have just said like 2 seconds later.
Yeah. But it just cut to him walking back in, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, who wants Bert?"
Yeah.
He's even like, "I should have seen that coming." That little
Yeah.
faraway shot of him standing there alone. And the
Exactly.
pacing is weird because it's a comic, so it's like hard to feel the flow of the pacing. But it's like when you realize what's happening, it's real funny because they're like instantly in this room where this weird egg-like creature or egg-like thing is in the center, which you're like, okay, that's probably the king egg that we just got told about. And
Yep.
you got Rain Sinclair is like going up there like Indiana Jones, and she's like trying to take it down.
Yep.
And she's like, I got it. Cut to like Corsair going like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? The hell are you standing shit? You're fucking up our heist. Like, how did you even beat us? Like, God damn it.
He's so it's just like months of planning, and this
Yeah.
is what I have to deal with. Oh, it's great. And
Chode's got this look on his face. He's like, "This is what they do. Like, this is what they do. You get it? You see now? Like, you see what I'm talking about here?"
right? And they don't even have remorse. Magic is even like it's the one-armed preacher. Just
Oh yeah,
like
because they had
throwing
that joke.
shade. Just throwing shade.
Well, that's what was it? They had that joke. It was like, we don't. Oh gosh, Corsair was trying to say like, what's your worst case scenario? We're trying to avoid that. What do you guys think would be a worst case scenario? And Rain was like, an overzealous preacher because that's what her past is tied to. It's like religious fanatics coming down on her because of being a mutant. And then was it someone saying like said something about like was people with one arms or something like to take a jab at Raza, and now here you have Magic going, oh hey look guys, it's a one armed preacher. Our worst fears have come true. Oh, poor Raza. He's
Yeah,
he's just trying to do his best here.
he's trying. He's trying. So he grabs the egg. They grab the egg. They're all like, come on, get it together. And they bounce. They bail. They just take the egg. And they're holding back. And Magic's just all like, or not Magic. They're just like, yo, what do we do? What's going on? And then she gets hit in the head. Is that what?
Yeah, the essentially like Corsair
Like
and
by
the rest of the StarJammers were like, well, we're gonna put this egg in like in a containment device, and we're getting the fuck out of here because that's how this works. Like you don't do a job and just chill around, and all the new mutants are just sitting there, fucking just chilling around. Like they fucking one upped Corsair by getting there, but then they fucked it all up by just like playing like looky loo in the scene of the crime. So of course, Magic gets blasted from behind, revealing that there's like that small armada of Shi'ar
sheer
soldiers,
forces.
yeah,
Yeah,
that were left behind are now on top of them, and Magic
yeah,
is
and they're
out
just getting
cold.
assaulted. Yeah,
Yeah, so Mondo has to do the only thing he's good at, stand in front of things and
yep,
take all those blasts.
yep. He's a tank. He's the tank.
And I like how Hesbeth is like, "Oh man, we're cut off from them. What do we do?" And it's like, "Fuck them,
Fuck him. Just
fuck them.
bail.
They
Get.
fucked us over. They made their bed. They can fucking sleep in it."
Oh, it's great. And they bail. They bail. They're gone. And they're trapped. And essentially, we get a chamber. They're like, Chamber, you know what to do. And he pulls down his thing and he unveils his his uh his energy, his crazy non-neck
Yeah,
Uh,
because Chambers' weird mutant power allows him to manifest like psychic energy out of his
energy
body in
out
like
of
a
his.
concussive explosion. But for
Yeah.
some reason, it degenerated his like chest and lower jaw when he
Sure.
does
Yeah.
it. So he always has this weird opening, but it looks really cool when he does it, and it's a kind of a cool power. I mean, it's very. He comes from like Generation Next, and then you could tell because it's that total '90s extreme. Like, my name's Chamber, I'm locked and loaded, radical. I'm like, oh god, dude, you're a little too ironic there with that. Let's take it easy. But
Right.
yeah, you think he's like, oh, Chambers a badass. He's gonna do something, and then it cuts away, and you're like, what happened? Huh?
Right.
That was weird. We
It
don't
did.
see that the follow up from that until a little later.
We do not. Which we've seen this in the past, where we see this like moment build up, and then an assault that cuts away, and you're just like, what's going on? What's happening?
Missing out on the action. You fuckers, don't cut away. It's like the first
Right.
Godzilla movie. Don't cut away when Godzilla shows up.
You
You son
never
of a
cut away. Come on now.
bitch.
God damn it. Ah. And so then we cut to the Starjammers, and they're back on the planet, and
Well, they're getting on their ship. Actually,
they
they're
get.
hopping.
I
They're
mean,
getting out of
yeah,
there.
they get on. Yeah, they're getting on their ship, and and they're just like, bad news. Your team's pretty much fucked, and we out of here.
Yeah, because Bobby's there drinking alone,
He's
like in Sun
drinking just by
Spot.
himself.
He's like, oh man. He's like, well, he's like kind of drunk. He's like, yeah, we gotta rescue him, man. What are we gonna do? And he's like, fuck with that. Corsair was like, we gotta get out of here. There is
Yeah,
no we.
there's no
Like,
we. And this is great. I love this is probably my favorite page of the comic of this entire issue. And we see Bobby. He's just like, why would you do that? Why? What did any of us deserve? What done to deserve it?
yeah,
And
none of us have been that bad, man. Like,
yeah,
what's wrong?
and we just see each one mention like something. These past moments that we've seen throughout the comic. We see we see Chode. He's just like, you people ruined my plans. And we see Raza. He's just like, the angry girl cut off my arm. And then what's her
Hesba?
name? Hesba.
Hesba?
She's just like children. I do not. I don't like them. I don't
Like
want them.
children, I do not. She talks like
Yeah,
Yoda.
she talks like
But
Yoda.
that's like that's the best line right there. She's just
Yeah,
like,
it's
what's
just
your
like,
reasoning? Like, I just don't like you guys. I like kids.
yeah. I like kids. I want them away. I don't want to see them.
And then Corsair's line.
He's just like, you stole my whiskey.
I like that look on his face too. He's very reluctant, like
Yeah.
biting his lip. He's like, "You're still a fucking wish," you know.
And he's just like, actually, you lost that fair and square. And then Corsair's just so sad. Where you see a beat, a small beat, he just
He's like,
hesitates.
and you lost your ride.
And you
Fair.
lost your ride. And he just dumps him on, leaves him. He just leaves him. And he doesn't seem too bummed. He's drinking the whiskey still. He's chugging that whiskey.
I like how he's just welcome to the Empire. Like, welcome to Shiar space. Like, deal with it. This is what it's like out here. Rough. That's how we've been dealing with it our whole lives. Oh, and then he's getting inebriated and thinking like he's getting that kind of that embodied and that like indomitable sense that you get when you're drunk and stuff where he's like,
Sure.
it's time for me to save the day. I can do this.
Yes. And we cut to the team kind of surrounded. Magic's still passed out. She's knocked out. And Sunspot, apparently. I mean, not Sunspot, Chamber. Chamber is knocked out, so he didn't last long.
Yeah, fucking Douglas is on his knees. Bobby's already there. Like fucking Robert showed up, and it was just like, it's time for me to save the day. Oh, okay, you got us. We surrender.
Okay, you got it. Yes.
Like, how did he even get
Right?
there?
They don't even
He
explain.
managed-
No mention, no battle, no cut to Bobby coming in and failing. Just okay, we're
It's a
done.
very comical, like everything builds up and then instantly falls flat on its face. Oh, Danny's got it right. She's like, "Well, man, this is a disaster. We should have never even left the damn."
Yeah.
Then Bobby's like, "It's fine. We got this."
Yeah,
Like,
we got this.
okay.
We got a good space lawyer. We got a number two,
Picking
a
up
really good
really
space.
good fucking space lawyer, and then it cuts to having legal troubles.
Oh,
This
it's great. And we get
weird
like this.
nematode looking gecko space lawyer dude with his buggy eyes. His like,
Yeah,
I guess
it's
it's
like
like
an
a,
advertisement of the sorts,
yeah, another one of those nice little Hickman panels. He's got
right?
like fucking gecko eyes or whatever. They're weird. They like bulge out and look different
Right?
ways.
Ah.
Like
But
an
yeah,
iguana.
it's
Yeah.
like an iguana, yeah. But it's just like, have you recently been incarcerated, accused of a crime you didn't commit, or detained against your will? Then call us today for a free consultation on immediate representation, and pretty much just an ad for being a space lawyer, and we get like these weird like notes like justice is blind, and so are we. Space lawyer, call us today.
I like that. Justice is blind and so are we. And he's got those crazy eyes.
Yeah,
So
those are
it's
crazy
like,
eyes.
it's
Yeah.
like, are you blind? Are those eyes just for show? Like, I like their phone number too. It's got a Z in it.
Yeah. And this is it. This is where we leave issue number one. And this is bizarre and wacky and very like a lot is happening, but no one seems to care. Very carefree,
Very carefree
everyone.
and very comical too, because a lot of the older New Mutants comics aren't not really this kind of comic, like comical in the sense, like they're not that kind of humor. They're
Exactly.
usually a more serious tone. I mean,
Hmm.
shit, they were dealing with the that demon bear was like one of the third issues or something like that that they had in the whole volume, first volume. So they were like dealing with like heavy stuff and like the stuff that ties to like Legion and his
Right.
upbringing and all that. So they were less on the comical side. I mean, sure, Bobby and Cannonball, like Sunspot and Cannonball, always had their back and forth joking with each other, being friends and shit.
Mhm.
But this was more of like a campy kind of comic end that you got from Generation X, but at least the comedy delivers on this. Whereas Generation X, it was just like their jokes always fell on deaf ears. So it's just like that's not funny. That's not funny. Nope, that wasn't funny either. Nice try. But this was really probably one of the funniest issues next to maybe Marauders.
Right.
Marauders is funny too, but that's only because of the audacity of it all. Like just
Just
like damn,
every
Kitty,
yeah.
Kitty don't give a fuck.
Kitty don't give a fuck at all. Um, but yeah, this is exciting. I am enjoying this run so far. Um, what are your overall thoughts of issue number one?
It's a good start for New Mutants. I'm excited to see where they go. It builds up a a nice little uh, segue into like the galactic end of the X-Men happenings, because
Right.
everything else is focused pretty much on Krakoa or Earth or what's going on, but New Mutants is kind of flushing out what's going on in the overall galactic end of the politics in space, the Kree, the Shi'ar Empire, the Scrolls. It's touching on that stuff. It's touching on the Broods. I mean, they mentioned a lot of different factions in
Yeah.
just this one issue, which is really cool because then that's starting to build up and point towards a greater storyline being built out in the background, like almost a side story to go with the whole Krakoa and Earth story that'll eventually, I imagine, overlap and come together. I mean, Hickman's doing it, so he's going to bring it all together. This is exactly what he did in Fantastic Four. He was telling stories all around the universe and then brought it all back to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Oh
did.
shit, he's doing it again in this because there's going to be an X-Men and Fantastic Four issue coming out not too long. So it's all coming back to where his roots. But
Should
yeah,
be.
I like this. Yeah, I like where they're going with this, and I'm excited about the next issue. Like they're good with this one. This one made me more excited than Fallen Angels did. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Fallen Angels. That's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Any last thoughts, notes, anything you're excited about in regards to the New Mutants? Any standout moments that you want to note?
This issue taught me that if you have cybernetic parts, it's okay for people to lop them off for comedic value.
Apparently, apparently, just chop it off. Chop it off. No one will care. Everyone will laugh.
Yeah, it was just like, whatever. You're technically handicapped, but whatever.
Fucking
It's like it's okay to cut off a cybernetic man's like robot legs, but it's not funny to like blow up a dude's wheelchair. Like I don't know. We're splitting hairs now.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask Hickman about that one.
Yeah. Hickman might know. Head of X, let us know. Drop
Yeah.
us an email. But that'll do it for this week. Next week, by next week, we mean weeks ago when we should have released this, or when we actually recorded this. So when I say next week, I just mean the next episode should be X Force, and I'm excited
Oh,
to
that was
release
good.
that for you.
Oh yeah.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that'll be awesome. But that will do it for us this week. I am Kyle. I'm with Danny. Remember, the robots are going to murder you in your sleep too.
Yeah.
So think
Sleep
about
with one
that.
eye open.
Yeah, sleep with one eye open and never sleep again. And
Yeah.
goodbye. Think about that for until next week. Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, we are going back through our classic episodes and uploading them onto YouTube in what we are calling Podcast of X Classics. So be sure to be on the lookout for more classic episodes. And be sure to check out freespeechgeek.com.